This is Arthur Nix with EWKS, and I'm a HeavyBid contract trainer. And today I'm going to talk about viewing and setting margin percentage in HeavyBid. Now, you will obviously know that in HeavyBid, the preference or the main way of calculating profit, I'm calling profit the overall, price minus cost, the dollars, total dollars, is via the percentage of cost. But I do know companies that want to do it as a percentage of margin. Okay, so this would be the profit percentage. I call it margin percentage, which would be, the cost, the price minus the cost divided by the price. That is margin percentage. So what this video does is goes through and shows you the options for calculating margin percentage and showing margin percentage. So let's look at some discussion points with margin versus markup. All right, both will yield the same result if they're equivalent. Doesn't mean they're the same, but that if they're equivalent. Because there is an equivalent percentage of margin that will yield the same result as a percentage of markup. So the resulting dollars is the same. And it's the total amount of dollars that represents the difference between the bid price and cost. Now, margin percentage in the above represents a percentage of the bid price. That means the denominator is the bid price. Now, markup percentage in the above is represented by a percentage of the total cost. So the denominator is the total cost. So obviously, when I'm looking at margin percentage versus markup percentage, the total cost is going to be less than the bid price. So my markup percentage is going to be higher than my margin percentage. Now, HeavyBid tends to focus on markup percentage, but there are settings and options that the markup percentage can be viewed. And so that's what we're going to go over today in this video. Now, there's no one correct way to calculate profit for a bid. And what's essential is that everybody on the estimating team and even the accounting and management team is on the same page. Now, this spreadsheet that I did a while back shows you how if you know markup percentage, you can calculate your profit percentage. And if you know your profit percentage, you can calculate the markup percentage. And it gives you the formulas that provide the basis for this. Also, some discussion points here below. And then there's an equivalency table so that you can look. If you don't want to calculate it, you can just reference it here. For instance, if I have 10% markup, what is the profit margin? Well, it's 9.09. And if I go back to, you can see here that my 9%, is almost 9.89, almost 10%. So you can see here that, you can get a comparison here of your percentage profit to percent markup. Now, you notice here, like around below 4%, maybe 3%, they're about the same. So when you start talking about 3% markup or 3% profit margin in the world of construction, okay, we're not talking about, fine-tuned instruments here. We're talking about construction projects with, so many unknowns out there. They're the same, okay? 2.91, 3%. You're kidding yourself if you think there's a big difference between the two on a construction project. So, when people say, hey, I want to get 3% markup, 3% profit, I said, at that level, it's the same. All right, so I will have this spreadsheet again, the download on the blog and also on the YouTube video if you want to reference this. Okay, so let's go to HeavyBid now and look at some of the options. First of all, I'm in a estimate. I'm at the bid summary page. I would encourage everybody to have their key performance indicators set up over here to reflect what they want to see. for my purposes, I have the balance margin by bid quantity percentage and actual margin bid quantity percentage. And again, you should know the difference between the two. Okay, the balance is going to be based on what HeavyBid calculates here on the summary screen, and then the actual will be, based on your unbalancing. If I run a lot of takeoff versus bid quantity differences, I'm also going to have my takeoff margin percentage up here. So both at the cost and cost and balanced, so that I can compare the two. So, and you can add, it's very easy to add these key indicators. You could show them right on this screen. I can also customize key indicators on the pricing screen and have them show there. All right, back to this. One option to do margin is just to use the markup right here. Going back to our spreadsheet that we talked about earlier, if I want 10% profit, I know I got to mark everything up 11.11%. So I come in here and I go 11.11, and then I come down here and run my spread. Right hand side, I see that I'm at 10%. Okay, and just due to the penny round off and difference between my balance and actual, I'm at 9.99%. So again, not totally clear here, but this is kind of the, one way of doing margin and just using the, the equivalent markup percentage here. HeavyBid will never change this particular column. It will always be a percentage of cost. Now, one advantage of it is here, you can uncheck this thing right here, uncheck this use average, and then come back and put in the 3% on the sub. Now, again, if it's 3% cost, 3% margin, 3% margin, it doesn't really matter. They're pretty much the same thing at that low percentage. But you can see here, I can see the whole thing. I kind of like this as it gives me a whole picture right here without having to go to the add-ons. All right, I'm going to go back to my average. Well, actually, I'm going to go back now and show you another option now. So that's one option. Let's go back and restore this. Let's now go to add-ons, and you can see here I got an add-on job profit margin. JB means job value, so it calculates it on itself, and I'm going to put in 10% here and leave that not checked. So that means if it's not checked, it is actually goes over to the profit side. If it's checked, it stays on the cost side. Both of them will calculate, so be careful. All right, I come back here to totals. I run my spread required, and then I got my 10% up here, and there's the 10%. So obviously this divided by by my sales gives me my 10%. Again, you can come back. I can't put 3% on sub first here without doing something else. So I go back to add-ons, and there's an option now in add-ons to do JX, job value minus total sub. So I do that. Okay, I come back to totals, and then I uncheck that and put my 3% there. So now I run my spread, and there I got my blended margin. Okay, not, again, it's the same, but it just gives me a little different way of calculating it. This one, well, either one of them I can set up in my master estimate. So again, this is a personal preference. It should be kind of set up by the company-wide, how to go about this using the margin instead of the percentage of cost. And I go back now to my totals tab, and I have to go put my 3% on the sub. There you go. And run my spread. Now here's one warning I'll give you. If you do this method, do not use markup percentage. Okay, well, I'll cover this a little more in depth here because what it's going to do is it's going to take all the markup, even what we had on the add-ons, and apply it exactly how you have it over here, which means it's going to go to all the pockets of subcontracts. I'll show you what I mean. If I come to bid pricing and I go to my balance markup, look here. All these two are all subbed. That one is heavily subbed. So all the money is being distributed to items that are subcontract. Okay, so that would be, you don't want to do that. I'm still getting my total, all right? Okay, so I'm still getting my total here, 133. That's no issue. It's just where it's putting it is the issue. Okay, so what do I need to do? I need to come back here and do total less sub or total. I'll use total less sub and then run my summary, go back to pricing, and now you can see a much better distribution. So that's kind of the downside a little bit of this method, that I am blocked out of using the markup percentage because that's designed to use right here. But I'm really not doing much other than that 3%. So, it's not a major deal. There's the differences between, when you set this, you want to make sure that you're using either labor total or total less sub and not the markup percentage. Now let's continue over to bid pricing. And over here on the Customize tab, I have selected some of these right here. Of course, the bid price, bid total, status, bid price difference, actual percent markup, and then total cost and actual charge. So actual charge is the price minus the total cost. So that would be your actual profit. All right, now this actual markup is a percentage of cost. All right, it is not a margin percentage. So if I come up here and if you look, for instance, on site excavation, and I did a total less sub, so there was a large sub, so that's why I got 6.12% here. But anyway, I got 29,164, and divided by my cost is 6.12. If I come over here and make this 10, you can see that it is dynamic. Oh, so now it's 15.48 because it's 73,714 divided by 476. And let me just, you can't see me, but I have my calculator, and 285, yep, 15. And you can trust that because it is an HP calculator, which I highly recommend using. All right. So you can see this is a percentage of cost right here. And you could change that. I could actually come in here and make that 16% of my cost, and you can see that it's dynamic. It's going to make it 1605 because of the penny round off. All right. Now, HeavyBid does have an option here. If I go up to Tools and I go to Preferences and I go to System, I can go to Setup, actually Bid Summary Pricing, and display markup percentage as percentage of cost or percentage of sales. Now, as far as I know, this only affects this actual markup right here. All right, it's not going to go back and affect the add-ons, the summary screen. It's not going to change that column. It's still going to be the same thing on the main totals of the bid summary tab. So, but it does change this here. I'm going to put OK, and then I'm going to come out. We can see that's 11.99 right there. Hold on, I'm going to exit this, and then I'm going to refresh it, and you can see that it has changed right here. That's because that is now percent margin. All right, so, and you can test this yourself. You can take the actual charge divided by the bid price. In fact, I'll do it right. I mean, the actual charge, yeah, 6836 and 63835.80, and I get 10.71. So this is, and it's dynamic. I can come down here and actually put my margin on here item by item. Now, as a philosopher of estimating, I'm not encouraging individually doing that. However, there are customers, especially ones that, that do this. They're used to doing this. I wouldn't object as long as it's something that they have, a running experience with. I still look at the overall job and the overall job margin, and that's what's going to be recognized in accounting. However, I do understand that there are companies that look at it for bidding purposes, look at it per item, not for job analysis purposes. So now the column doesn't change. It still says actual markup percentage. That doesn't change at all. But this is now a margin percentage right here. So I can come down here and I can say 10%, and it's actually changing that. Okay, so that's going to be my 2314 divided by my, there it is right there. So, it's dead on. Now, one last point that I do want to just show before I close this out. On the bid summary, and when I go to the markup percentage, on the add-ons right here, the JX or JB, doesn't matter which one, that is on the balance bid. All right, so those calculate on the balance bid, not on the final bid pricing. So right now I'm at 54,924. And if you come back to the bid summary and look at my key performance indicators, that's on my balance bid, 133 divided by my by that. But look at my actual. Okay, it's based on, so I'm actually getting 12.02. So obviously this is based on balance, and it kind of has to be. It doesn't, you're pricing it. It can't go back and calculate, based on what you're pricing it on. So that's why I emphasize that you want to have these key performance indicators up here. And also on the bid price, what you want to do on the bid pricing screen, you want to come down here to the setup. And if you're not a company that looks up at markup of cost, then just take these out of here. Make your screen a little clearer. Just, so I'm down here. I went down to setup, lower right, and then I'm going to take those out. I'm going to take that one out, and then I'm going to change this description right here. And instead of markup percentage, I'm going to put in margin. All right. I don't know where they get the markup percentage on sales. That to me is a little bizarre. And then I'm going to come down here and do the same thing. All right, so take out that markup, and that will become margin. All right, and you could even, if you want to put in the percentage sign, but margin is percentage. All right, and that calculates our profit. There you go. So a little clearer down there. I got my actual markup bid quantity. You could even take out the markup by takeoff quantity if you don't use that. And if you wanted to, you can insert other items or maybe some other key indicators that you might use. So because there's room down there to do that. If you do want to see the rest of this, go back and say, okay, what is my percentage of cost? I still got it right here in statistics, and there it is right here on the right hand side. I got my cost percentage and my sales percentage. So it's still available. It's just have to go down there and hit statistics. Okay, well, this is Arthur Nix again with EWKS. I hope that you've learned something with this. That's the value of for you if you use margin over percentage of cost in your estimates. All right, well, thank you for watching this video.